Okay, so imagine this, a puzzle that's so huge it stretches across the entire globe. We're talking from the deepest, darkest corners of the internet all the way to actual physical street corners in places like Warsaw and Sydney. And no, this isn't some crazy movie plot. This is the real story of Cicada 3301, which is, without a doubt, one of the internet's greatest, and I mean greatest, unsolved mysteries.
So where did this whole thing even start? Well, it all kicked off with this one simple, super cryptic message posted on 4chan way back in 2012. That was it. No explanation, no company name, nothing. Just this stark invitation. And you know, this one challenge just thrown out there was the very first step down a rabbit hole that would keep the world's best code breakers completely hooked for years to come.
And believe me, it was a challenge. People call Cicada 3301 the Mount Everest of internet puzzles. And honestly, for good reason. I mean, we're not just talking about solving a few riddles here. This was a brutal test of your skills in, well, everything. Cryptography, data security, philosophy, even classical music. It was clearly designed to find a very, very specific type of person. But the big question is, for what?
All right, so let's get into it. How did this massive global scavenger hunt actually work? It all kicked off with a single image, and this thing looked deceptively simple, but it was the key to a puzzle that was way larger and more intricate than anyone could have guessed.
See, here's the first trick. The clue wasn't just the text you could see on the image. No, it was hidden inside the actual image file. This was the very first test, right? A filter designed to get rid of anyone who was just casually scrolling by. To even get past step 1, you needed a very specific skill.
And that skill is called Steganography. The easiest way to think about it is like digital invisible ink. The idea is pretty simple, right? Hiding a secret message inside a totally normal-looking file. But it's super effective. The first people to solve it dug into the image file's data, found that hidden message, and just like that, the race was on.
And this right here just shows you the insane scope of this challenge. Okay, so after you decode that first image, you're off on this wild chase. First, you've got to crack some really complex ciphers. Once you do that, they give you GPS coordinates. And this is where it gets crazy. This sent people out into the real world. They were heading to telephone poles in places like the US, Poland, France, you name it. And what do they find? A poster with a QR code. Scan that, and suddenly you're diving into hidden sites on the dark web. It was just this relentless, multi-layered test that jumped from online to offline and back again.
Okay, but get this. The puzzles from 2012 and 2013, turns out those were just the warm-up. Because in 2014, the creators dropped their ultimate challenge. A final piece of the puzzle that, to this day, a lot of people believe is literally unsolvable.
And this is it, the Liber Primus, which is just Latin for the first book. It's a 74-page manuscript, and it's written entirely in this incredibly complex, runic-looking script that nobody had ever seen before. Why? Because Cicada 3301 made it up themselves. The goal was simple, but impossible. Decrypt the entire book. This was the final exam. And this is where the mystery really turns into a legend. So you've got this 74-page book, you have a global community of the smartest code breakers on the planet working on it for over a decade now, and how many pages have they managed to reliably decrypt? About 2? Yeah, 2 pages. The difficulty is just so staggering that almost all the secrets of the Liber Primus are still completely locked away. So what's actually in those 2 pages they managed to crack? Well, it gives us this fascinating peek into the minds behind Cicada. And it turns out this was never just about code. It's about a whole worldview. The text is full of deep philosophical ideas from thinkers like Carl Jung and Nietzsche, which tells you they weren't just looking for programmers. No, they were hunting for people who could grasp these really complex ideas about consciousness and society. And maybe they wanted them to help build that non-hierarchical collective the book talks about.
Which, of course, leads us to the million-dollar question. Who on earth is behind all of this? Who would create something so incredibly elaborate? Well, over the years, 3 big theories have really stood out.
Okay, so theory number 1, and this is the most popular one. It's a recruitment tool for an intelligence agency, like the CIA or MI6. Makes sense, right? Then there's the idea that it's a test run by a black hat group. We're talking hackers who break into systems for shady reasons, and they're looking for top-tier cyber mercenaries. And finally, the third theory is that it's all just an incredibly complex alternate reality game, an ARG. Basically, a huge interactive art project for intellectuals that uses the whole world as its stage.
But here's the thing. No matter who was pulling the strings, one thing is absolutely for sure. After releasing their masterpiece, the Liber Primus, the creators just vanished.
Yep,
You heard that right. After dropping this nearly impossible book on the world in 2014, the group we call Cicada 3301 went completely silent. Poof, gone. The trail went stone cold, and all it did was leave everyone with way more questions than answers.
So what's the legacy of this great digital silence? Well, the people who claim they actually won the earlier puzzles, they said they got invited to some private forum, but guess what? That forum disappeared too. A few fakes and unverified leaks have popped up since then, but nothing real. So all that's truly left behind is the Liber Primus, that final, unconquered peak of this digital Mount Everest.
And that's where the trail ends, leaving us right back where we started. What was the point of all this? Was Cicada 3301 just an elaborate hiring campaign for spies, a talent search for criminal hackers, or was it something else entirely? A profound artistic statement about intelligence and philosophy, a game designed to push our brightest minds to their absolute limits. The truth is, to this day, nobody knows for sure. And the answer, if there is one, is still locked away somewhere inside that cryptic, silent book.